You know, if you've ever delved into the world of cosmic horror, you've definitely heard of Arkham, Massachusetts. And when you think of Arkham, you think of its most famous landmark, a prestigious, ivy-covered university that feels like it should be right up there with Harvard or Yale, an academic beacon with a much, much darker side. So let's pull back the curtain on Miskatonic University.
I mean, that sounds completely real, doesn't it? It just paints this perfect picture of a historical institution, one with a long, proud past. You can almost imagine walking those hallowed halls, hearing the stories, just like any other Ivy League school. It feels so solid, so important. Because, well, it isn't. Not a single brick of it. The campus, the history, the entire town of Arkham, it's all a brilliant work of fiction. So how in the world did a university that doesn't even exist become this famous? That is exactly what we're going to figure out.
All right, here's the game plan. We're going to start with the mind that created the myth. Then we'll get into why his whole creative philosophy was so ahead of its time. We'll take a tour of the campus itself, meet some of its, let's say, notorious alumni, see how this fake place broke into our real world, and then finally we'll ask why this whole thing still has such a grip on us.
So, let's just get this out on the table right away. Miskatonic University is a complete and total fabrication, born from the incredible imagination of one of horror's greatest authors.
And the man behind the curtain? None other than Howard Phillips Lovecraft. He first dropped the name Miskatonic way back in his 1922 story, Herbert West, Reanimator, and in doing so, he planted the seed for what would become a cornerstone of his entire fictional universe.
But here's the thing. Miskatonic's fame isn't just because one guy wrote some good stories. No, it's because of a truly revolutionary idea he had about storytelling itself. See, Lovecraft didn't guard his creations. Just the opposite. He actually encouraged other writers, his friends, to use Miskatonic, to use Arkham, to use his cosmic gods like Cthulhu, all in their own stories completely for free. He wanted them to add to the world he was building.
And what's so wild is how modern that idea is. Decades before the internet, before going viral was a thing, he essentially created the first open-source literary universe. It's almost like he was inventing the idea of a retweet, letting a concept spread and get bigger and more complex with every single person who touched it.
So what is this place that has inspired so many people? Okay, let's take a quick walk around the Miskatonic campus. We'll check out the charming New England exterior, and then maybe peek into the forbidden archives.
So, the university is supposedly located in Arkham, Massachusetts, which, spoiler, is also not a real place. It was pretty heavily based on Brown University, which was in Lovecraft's own hometown. Its history is made to sound ancient, like it's one of America's first colleges. And yeah, their mascot is the squids. That's kind of on the nose, right? It's got your normal departments, but then you see things like medieval metaphysics, and you start to get the picture.
But the real reason people come here, the students of the truly strange anyway, it isn't the lecture halls. Oh no, it's the Orne Library. Specifically, the Lockdown Special Collections, which supposedly holds the most dangerous collection of books on the entire planet.
Tucked away in those vaults are some legendary tomes. You've got the most infamous one, the Necronomicon. But there are others, too, like the Book of Ibon and Unalsprakelin Colton. And these aren't just old textbooks. The stories say that reading them can shatter your mind because they contain real rituals for summoning things that, well, things that shouldn't exist.
And this line, this is the one everybody knows. It's the most famous quote from the Necronomicon, and it just perfectly captures this chilling central idea that death isn't really the end, and that some ancient, awful things are just sleeping, waiting to wake up.
So, a place like this, what kind of students does it attract? Or maybe, what kind of students does it create? Let's meet a couple of the university's most infamous graduates. First up, Herbert West. He was a brilliant med student who became obsessed with bringing the dead back to life. As you can imagine, that did not go well. Then you have Asenath Waite, one of the only women ever mentioned at the school. Her major was a bit different. She was into dark magic and literally swapping her mind into other people's bodies. These aren't exactly your typical success stories.
Now, for a place that is completely made up, Miskatonic University has left a surprisingly huge mark on our actual world. Let's trace how it went from a niche literary idea to a straight-up pop culture icon.
So after it first appeared in 1922, the university was kind of obscure for decades, but then, bam, the 1980s happened. The cult classic movie Reanimator and the hugely popular tabletop game Call of Cthulhu blasted Miskatonica into the mainstream. By the late 90s, fan sites were popping up, and by 2010, the name was attached to a real-life academic organization. And its influence is just everywhere. It's the setting for tons of movies, it's a central pillar of horror gaming, it even showed up in an episode of the real Ghostbusters, if you can believe that. But maybe the weirdest part of all is that there's now a very real Miskatonic Institute of Horror Studies, a group that hosts lectures on horror films and culture. Life imitates art, right? And this legacy is absolutely thriving online. A fan-run Facebook page that treats the university like a real place has over 10,000 followers. It's this active, vibrant community that's dedicated to keeping this shared fiction going.
So all of this really leads us to the final biggest question. Why? Why does a fake university from 100-year-old stories still have such a powerful hold on all of us?
Well, believe it or not, Lovecraft himself gave us the answer. He used his great phrase, a background of evil verisimilitude. All that means is making something feel real. He believed that if enough different writers all referenced the same places and the same books and the same monsters, the whole fictional world would start to feel disturbingly, tangibly real to the reader.
And that's really the secret sauce. The reason Miskatonica is still around is because it was never just one person's story. It was an invitation. Its power comes from that collaborative spirit, turning fans from just readers into active participants, each one adding another brick to the university's walls.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Miskatonic University might not have a physical campus, but it has thousands of alumni, a library full of stories, a sports team, and a worldwide community that truly believes in it. It exists in all of our heads. So, in a way, doesn't that make it real? Maybe not in our reality, but as a shared idea, it is more alive today than it has ever been.